Hi, and welcome to another edition or episode of Dialogues Live. Today we are talking about careers. That means we are talking about how we experience our career or where we are in our career. And the title is From Stuck Till Inspired. And I started my preparation this afternoon by looking at the word career. Where does it come from? Etymologically, the word career comes from Latin carrus or chariot, and it referred to a high-speed gallop in a race. Meaning has evolved to describe the general course of one's life, and then more recently, the general course of our professional path. But if you think of where it comes from in terms of the high-speed gallop, I think some of us might still have that connotation when we look at our career. And some of us might feel that we're stuck and this gallop is no longer there. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. Before I do that, I have an invitation for you. And my invitation for you is to join me. You can just ask your questions or give your feedback or whatever it feels right to share. Bring it here in the comments. So I want to talk first about Dialogues Live a little bit in terms of why I bring this weekly session. Dialogues Live actually is here to support my online application that is called Dialogues with Helena. Dialogues with Helena is a coaching application that I have created for women leaders, both entrepreneurs and executives at every level of their career, in order to have access to coaching. There's a lot of us that feel that we are not supported enough, not sponsored enough in a professional way in the decisions that we make, in the choices that we make, in career, in personal career relation and harmony or integration, and specific skills that we would like to develop in terms of leadership in order to grow in our career. And Dialogues with Helena is an application online that basically offers you the possibility and the opportunity to get coached by me, or better said, by my avatar. That is an AI application in a very secure, safe environment, hyper-personalized, really focused on where you are in your career, in your life, in your development, in your aspirations, and supports you with whatever question you have or with whatever growth area you would like to explore. And what I do here in Dialogues Live is bring topics to you that you can then further develop or explore in Dialogues with Helena in the application. Especially if you have little experience with coaching, sometimes it feels a little bit difficult to go there. You don't know what to ask, you don't know how to put things. And by bringing specific topics and already giving you specific questions in Dialogues Live, I try to make it a little bit more accessible for you if you have no coaching experience. So this is basically a combination. Dialogues Live and Dialogues with Helena are supporting each other in a mission and an ambition to support every woman with coaching. So let's continue on today's topic in terms of career. So sometimes this is what I felt a long time ago, but it's also what women tell me, women I work with or women I have conversations with. Sometimes we really feel stuck in a career. It doesn't excite us anymore. We are waking up with a sense of dread, feeling uninspired, although we were so enthusiastic about that work a couple of months ago or a couple of years ago, or maybe even a decade ago. Yeah. So this is something that we experience very often. And it is something that sometimes goes to the back burner because we are so busy. We are in a golden cage. We work there for so many years. We are in our comfort zone, even if it doesn't make us happy anymore to work there. We have an idea of safety and security, things like that. And actually, I would like to normalize this, because this is a feeling that all of us have somewhere in our career. When we reach a point where you could say that mastery turns into monotony. And it's not really a problem. It's just a signal. It's a sign. There's so many ways that we can experience our career, and it could go in phases, it could go in stages, but it's important to be aware of how we experience our careers or jobs or our work in a certain time, because it can be a sign that something deeper wants expression. It can be a sign that some of our strengths are not manifested, are not deployed. Yeah. And tonight, our conversation tonight is not about quitting jobs or fixing problems. It's actually, I want to invite you to listen, to what wants to move through you as a next stage. And this is something that we don't really do. Yeah. Because we are in a trap of linear success. We have grown up, we have seen it with our parents, we see it with our friends, our colleagues, and of course ourselves. We are in a very linear mindset in terms of our careers. It could be like in your organization, there's this promotion system that works. You can see it in the big international law firms. You could see it in the big four. You start as an assistant, and then you are the advisor, then you are a senior advisor and a junior manager and a senior manager, etc., etc. And basically, then there's also, you have to do this every 2 or 3 years. And so you are pushed in a system that doesn't necessarily serve you, and where there's a lot of situations of comparison. There's a lot of situations of expectations not met, especially if you don't get that promotion, or if you don't get that promotion in time. What I also see is, and I coach women that are in that kind of organization, if they are out for 6 months or a year because, for example, because of maternity leave, then this whole system is disrupted. And the way they experience that sometimes feel is injustice, because they feel that they're capable, they have the strengths, but they cannot get the promotion like their colleagues do because they have been out for 6 months because of maternity leave, things like that. So there's a lot of traditional linear settings in our careers that don't really serve us. Another thing is that we are taught to see our careers as ladders, right? So basically, the example I gave of all these promotions, it's a ladder. And there's this interesting metaphor where you can climb the ladder and be at the top of the ladder and look over the wall and see that you climbed the wrong ladder, because what at the top of the wall is not exactly what you expected, or what you like, or what you value, or what you want to manifest. So these are all things that are in the system that we live with right now. So it's logical step of one after the other, always upwards. I would say in reality, although a lot of us want to experience this as a reality, but an alternative way to look at it is your career, to look at it as a canvas. The ladder gives structure, but it doesn't give meaning. And if you can master the climb, it stops feeding us. And so I would say your career is not a ladder, but a canvas, because a ladder measures progress by height, and a canvas measures it by depth and color and authenticity. And it's not limited to that direction up. A canvas can go everywhere. Look at it as I would say, a white page that you have in front of you as an artist or a hobbyist painter. You can go in many directions. But because the system hasn't taught us that, we're very often trapped in that reality of a ladder. So does that make sense? I'm going to tell you a story about a client that I was coaching, and she was at a certain level in the organization, and she was prepared for the next level. And so she stepped into coaching with me in order to prepare and in order to build more executive presence and in order to develop more leadership skills. And so we were together for quite a while, and we were talking about her vision on that next step. And basically, long story short, it turned out that she actually was not really interested in that promotion, that she would lose a lot of her zone of genius areas because she would no longer be able to practice them in that next step. She was more like of an expert. She was very focused on development of new procedures and protocols, even legislation, had very good connections with the clients that she was dealing with. And in the next step, she would no longer have this expert role, and she would be merely responsible for business development. Maybe you can already think in terms of, if you're an expert, you're not by definition interested in business development. And that is like a gentle expression about that. And she didn't even think about that if she really wanted that promotion, because it was so logical, because it was what was done in general. And also, of course, because it was an honor to get that promotion. And so instead of listening to herself and be aligned with what she was really good at and what she loved to do and what she wanted to explore further and expand, she was basically preparing herself to step into something where she already felt, but she didn't have the language for it. She already felt that this was not for her. And so it took her a while to build that awareness. And then it took her a while to accept that, to recognize that this next step was not for her, and to find the language in order to express that to others. Because how often or how many of you have had this experience where you express something that you want to manifest or that you want to achieve or that you aspire for, where somebody else says, really, do you want to do that? Is that not? And so it's very difficult if you are in a context and an environment where these promotions are so highly valued, are basically your assets, to say no. And once that she felt that she didn't want to do that, and that she had also defined how she would or how she could reshape her present role and add new parts or responsibilities or projects to that role, she found peace with it. And she also had the confidence to share that with other people. And so, bottom line is that she did not take that promotion. She did not go after that promotion. And she developed other paths that brought her joy and fulfillment. And so I would like to know, or I would like you to, or I would invite you to think if that resonates with you somehow, or with something or with somebody that you know. Because this is not a very isolated situation. These are things that we all have encountered in some way. I worked with another client who is extremely creative And her mother said, no, I don't want you to go to art school. I want you to have a diploma that is valuable in the job market. And so she was forced to get another degree, and so she obtained a degree in economics. And with that diploma in economics, she started working in the banking sector. And she did that for 12 years. And she didn't like that work one day, but it was expected from her to do that. And so one day she took all of her courage and she had a conversation with her husband. And she said, I don't want to do that anymore. This is not me. I'm just surviving. I'm not thriving. I'm not thriving in my career or in my role. I want to do something different. And so she started the studies that she wanted to do when she was 18 in architecture and interior decoration. And she started her business there. And yes, it was a struggle because you have to reorganize your work and you already have a family, and then you take out a couple of years to study again. So it takes courage and it takes creativity and persistence. But she did that and she started her own business. And she has the most amazing business. And every time I speak with her, her eyes are bright because she absolutely loves what she's doing. And so this is maybe an extreme example, but in general, I think that we find ourselves very often in a phase in our career where we have the same. And every career chapter does not ask per definition for reinvention, but maybe for reinterpretation. Yeah. So how does that land? How do you see that for your own situation? When you think of your career, does it feel more like climbing that ladder or creating right now? And what parts in your role, in your job, would you like to see more activated? And are there parts in your role that you absolutely don't like to do? And that probably you don't really do well, if that makes sense. And if your job or your career was a canvas, what color would it be? Think of that for a moment and take some notes and see how that lands, how that works for you. I'm going to give you a minute to just think through that. And another question is, if you would have the choice, sky is the limit, money is no issue, commitments and responsibilities are no issue, would you be doing what you're doing right now? And if not, what would you be doing? And it's amazing how we can take some time to do this, to ask these very important questions. And think of how often are you doing this? How often are you reflecting? Are you going inside and think, feel, experience where you are in your job, what it is that you do, why it is that you did that? Sometimes we plan our holidays. Well, not sometimes. We plan our holidays a lot better than we plan our careers. And if we plan our careers, we tend to plan them in a way as we have been, I would say, educated or even manipulated in by the system, by how it is done in corporate life, by how our parents have been doing it, by what is expected from us. And so being able to go inside once in a while and have that reflection is a very important moment. And that's also why my application dialogues with Helena can help you to do that, where you can set aside 20 minutes or an hour to go deeper into this matter, into this very, very important question, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Does it still serve me? Does it make me happy? Does it fulfill me? And if not, then what? Yeah. So in the Dialogues with Helena application, you will get questions, but you also will get prompts that help you to explore your energy, your purpose, your values. And so they're basically gentle reflection sequences that bring awareness and also clarity shifts over time. So I invite you to go there and have a look and use this topic about your career in terms of, are you stuck or inspired, to ask the questions and to have the conversations with my AI avatar in terms of exploring what works very well, describing and experiencing what feels missing in your current careers. And think of, like, right now, one word that describes what you long for more of. What is it that you would love to see in your current job, in your current position? And it might feel like a paradox, because you might love some parts of your job, or you might love your job as it is right now, but maybe not the setting or the context, or vice versa. So I invite you to look for what you can appreciate that you have, and understand that it's still okay to want something different. So if you want to share this in the chat, feel free. If you have ideas, if you have comments, if something resonates, we're not looking for solutions right now, but some things that land, that resonate, feel free to share it in the chat, or at least take a note. Note it down or take a mental note. Now, I understand that sometimes it's very difficult to get a grip on where you are and where you want to be, and understanding your achievements, understanding your strengths. Especially we as women, we're not used to celebrate our successes. We're not used to really validate and appreciate what we have been doing in our jobs. And so sometimes it's difficult to really understand where we are. I recently have started coaching journeys with two clients, one that just lost her job and one that lost her job in during the coaching journey that we have. There were high-level executives, women leaders, and both times I felt the devastation, and I would say kind of panic in terms of, no, what am I going to do? One of them even was referring to her age, like, I'm 52. There's no possibility for me anymore. And I believe that understanding your strengths in whatever situation you are will build your confidence, but also build your language in order to, first of all, for example, go to your boss and have negotiations on salary raise or salary reviews. Have the conversation with your boss during your performance reviews. Apply for another job. Apply for a promotion. And so because I understood and understand, not only with these two specific women, but in general, how difficult it is for us to understand our words, I have created another application. It's called Strengths in Motion. And it's basically an application that I have built to help you understand your value in a professional context. So what does it do? It combines specific information like your resume and your LinkedIn profile with other data like assessments, It could be like Myers-Briggs, it could be a human design, it could be a 360. So you can upload up till 5 different assessments. And it also guides you through some qualitative questions, as you cannot reflect without the questions. And the strength of the tool is that it provides you with a snapshot that makes the connections between everything, between what is clear from your assessments, with your profile and your resume, and your information that you put in terms of values and aspirations and strengths. And it creates something that makes you connect all the dots. And then there's a second phase, the playbook, and that's a paying application. It's a $19 payment for a 15 to 20 page playbook that basically brings everything that you need in order to understand where you are in your career, in terms of leadership, in terms of areas to develop, in terms of potential roles that you might never have thought about. And it gives you 1 month, a 3 months, and a 1 year development plan in order to grow in the direction that you want to grow. And this is, together with this Dialogues Live today, is an invitation to explore different paths. It's an invitation to understand that you are not limited to what is normal in your organization or in your industry. It's not because you are a chief accountant that your next move by definition is financial controller or finance director. It's not because you are a VP finance that your next move per definition is CFO. There's a lot of different possibilities. The thing is that I've been in recruitment and search for 22 years, and I know. The thing is that it's very hard sometimes to be creative. It is hard to be creative as a candidate. It is hard to be creative as a recruiter, and internal or external. But it is about bringing you the language and the narrative to show your strengths, to really bring to the table what it is that you can do, that is taking the eyes and the focus away from a job description or a strict resume. And so it is my invitation to explore these possibilities and the opportunities. And that's why I also developed the apps that I'm presenting you. So there's Dialogues with Helena.app and there's Strength in Motion.app that basically give you the whole setting to prepare for whatever move it is that you want to make in life or in your career in this case. I would say explore them and continue the exploring. And I would say that Dialogues with Helena is meant for ongoing reflection and awareness building, a space for questions and prompts and inner clarity work. And Strengths in Motions is meant for, I would say, more structured, strategic career design and clarity. It helps you to translate reflection into concrete direction. It highlights your unique strength constellation and aligned opportunities. So it's basically like this canvas that is offered to you that we have brought into a snapshot and a playbook. So both are accessible, low barrier ways to build a sustainable self-coaching practice. You can do that anytime, any place, from any device. So I just invite you to explore it. I wanted to make it as accessible as possible. So both have a free section where you already can move forward. If you want to go deeper, there's for Strengths in Motion, the playbook. And for Dialogues with Helena, there's like weekly or monthly sessions, whatever you need, that you can also combine with live sessions if you want to. So this is it for today. I'm going to close this with a quote that I hope that sparks some curiosity and enthusiasm. And that is, your next chapter in your career is not waiting out there. It is waiting within. And it is your possibility and an opportunity to explore it. And so I can't wait to see what comes out of that and how that impacts your career trajectory, your conversations with your boss, your conversations with yourself. So thanks for being here. Let me know what you think in the chat. If you have any questions, direct message me. And next week, we're going to talk about boundaries, how they can be a source of energy and take us away from depleting because we allow ourselves to be triggered by anything and anybody. Hope to see you next week and wish you a great rest of your week. Bye-bye. Take care.